document everything, to show the process, to not only show the cool, beautiful mansion and all the cool things, but to show the people that are here, to show the reality. Evolution and reinvention is key in the process of creating a brand.
With Represent, what happened?
It's like, okay, this is how we gotta go.
Yeah, the awesome stuff that he's doing.
Guys, if this YouTube thing goes well, hopefully I can buy Daniel a more expensive watch one day.
Time and time again on this channel, we've discussed brands from all over the world creating and taking part in what we would call the brand experience. Some are extremely dominant in product design, while others are focusing more on web design or advertising or other forms of content. At the end of the day, it would be a pretty grand world if all brands could checklist and check off the criteria in every single way possible when it comes to their brand. But unfortunately, that is not the reality. But as a very wise man once said,
success doesn't really interest me anymore. It's too easy. Analysis plus capital plus execution. It's fucking, anyone can do that. But failure, that's a secret. Just as much failure as possible, as fast as possible. Burn that shit out.
Well,
That's interesting.
but here we are at the forefront of a brand that has analyzed and perfectly placed and understood where their next leg up is at. Understanding what has worked so far, but pivoting and doubling down on what is to come next and what will work in even greater and better ways. Damn, with the sun, I did not think this through. But before I move over to the shade, I did want to say, in their most recent video, Bruno, the creative director over at Nude Project, I think he really pinpointed and understood and actually spoke about what it is that Nude Project has been so successful at and where they need to go next.
Alex sent me an email in the beginning of the year, I think it was January 1st, 5:30 a.m. I remember it quite clearly. And the email title was "What got us here won't get us there."
Let's stop beating around the bush and focus in on what it is that Bruno and the team are pivoting to. All right, enough moving around and focus up here. And as stupid, simple as this sounds, it is about the journey and not the destination. The team have realized that on a foundational level, on a level of so-called the blueprint, they have understood on how to launch campaigns and product campaigns and how to launch products again and again and again. Not only product campaigns, but design and brand campaigns in general. So now, to create depth and more of a strung out narrative, they have committed to displaying and documenting what we would call the brand or the founder journey. As we've said many times on this channel, they have truly embraced building a brand by the entrepreneur for the entrepreneur. If we rewinded back, it's actually a few years ago that Bruno and his partner have started to be recognized via podcasts, different vlogs, as the faces and the founders of this up-and-coming giant, almost as something that has this unlimited potential and more momentum being built up around it. They've appeared next to the likes of Iman Gadzhi and other entrepreneurs both within their region and being recognized in Spain, as well as other parts of the world like Los Angeles and the rest of Europe. But the success of Nude only had a trickle-down effect at showcasing Bruno and the rest of the team's journey and enjoyment for building the brand. Once again, the company was growing, but it didn't have as much of an effect as displaying the intense dedication and intense emotion that was going on behind the scenes to place Bruno and the rest of the team at the forefront as founder and entrepreneur builders. So it was time to set apart from the half in, half out storytelling and commit to building what we would call a legacy.
Para amante, hay mucha gente que se sigue pensando que hacemos Alex y yo el podcast, subimos una story y hacemos 4 sudaderas, ¿sabes? Y es una putada porque es un equipazo, hay toda una movida, somos toda una secta profunda, ¿sabes?
Yo haría un documental de esto.
The most recent video was actually the nail in the coffin in terms of understanding that Bruno and Nude have a total understanding that building in public will be a mainstay for them as a company in 2025. If I had to break it down by steps exactly, I would probably say there's nothing more important than understanding where it is that your audience sees you in terms of the current trajectory of building in public and building in a digital space. Bruno has come to this really critical realization that with this giant audience, they not only see where Nude Project is at and where the founders are at, but many different players and companies in the space alongside of them. And the realization consists in the fact that Bruno does not sit down and say, okay, look, we want to paint ourselves to the audience like this or like that or in many different ways. But the fact is, he simply says and puts the pieces into place for the sort of quote like, let's turn on the camera, let's keep it rolling, and whatever the narrative is, let's not taint it. Let's not taint it because simply we are cool enough as we are. If you take anything from this video, this next part is really the meat on the bone in terms of what I think will provide most value for you. So many entrepreneurs believe that leaving a digital legacy is the sort of thinking where let's script it out, let's point the camera exactly to where we want it to be, and we'll create this perfect image in our audience's eyes. But the reality is, showcasing only what you really want to script is an extremely unsustainable way of building your legacy. It leads always to the same exact place. You will be exposed as an actor rather than a character. Sometimes the point of getting really good with the camera or with the editing is not to paint yourself in terms of prettier pictures or art forms, but so you can be more aware of how many more stories, of how many more situations you can be in and showcase to the audience in regards to what your story really is. If you were to ask me what is more effective, a camera crew and a documentary style vlog, or a sit down in front of a cheap camera, I would probably tell you neither. Both can be as beneficial or as harmful if the focus is on the package rather than the product. But does the setup and the gear ever matter? Does it truly have the potential to elevate the numbers and the results attached to your channels and brand? No, it doesn't matter. That's the answer, and here's why. Here you can witness the creations of the modern creative director. I'm sure if I was to grab a drink with them and ask them what has created specialty and uniqueness in the art they create, I will only be able to understand on how to get from point A to point B, but let's say the whole process is A to Z. So much more goes into that conversation because it is about understanding the characters in the shot. It is about understanding what the brand and the company is about and what you want to paint in regards to the feel, the objects in the shot, the elements in regards to the specific characters. What are they wearing? How is their hair? How are they moving? When do we want to capture their movements? And so on and so forth. And that's only regarding sportswear type of content. Asking questions, are you more of a talk to the camera sort of vlog? Or are you getting the shots as if the cameraman is non-existent and is just an autopilot running all the damn time? The channel that is named after you, is it only about yourself or is there a whole list and cast of characters? Those are all critical questions that the best creative directors and the best creators are asking. This is only a small list of the questions and answers that you have to have that sets you apart without the gear. And the gear can only elevate you up to a certain point if you do not ask those questions. But there is one more thing that sets apart Nude Project and gives it that X factor. Let's talk about that next.
Me he tenido que desarrollar yo y he tenido que espabilar y aprender un poco porque a mí innatamente lo que me venía es la comunicación. Yo venía de que yo de pequeño, de los 14 a los 16 años, grababa un blog semanal, por así decirlo, en plan un vídeo de mi vida, en plan yo estudiaba el lunes al viernes, el sábado grababa un vídeo.
From the Christopher Nolans to the Al Pacinos, there are things that Hollywood has done right to teach new creators. And that is the idea that essential standards, they matter. Let's talk about what those essential standards are. When I talk about essentials, I don't mean the fear of God sub-brand. I'm talking about what I would call the consistent actors, elements, objects, locations that are shown in different brand content. Sometimes it is the angle from which you shoot, if we look at Daniel Dalen, or about the people and the guests appearing in your videos. Other times it's a background or a piece of clothing or a shoe. Whatever it might be, that is the consistent essential in your content. Whatever your essentials are, it doesn't mean they're in the content all the time, but they must stand out as a unique piece of your company and your personal brand content. If the essentials are not sticking out, then what reason does it give the audience to stick around as the viewer? When creators get that first hit of success or the audience is growing, they start getting creative, and instead of experimenting with a few processes, they start moving pieces every single time. They scrap what has worked for them and start introducing new locations, new thumbnails, new types of content, and new actors. And we aren't just talking about movies. Again, we're not talking about shooting Oppenheimer here or The Odyssey. We're talking about YouTubers that might just be starting. To finish on a simple note that everyone can replicate from Nude Project, I want to give a piece of advice that has worked well for my channel so far. Video editing is no longer the obstacle that it used to be. There are different types of editors for all types of tasks at various price levels available on different platforms and in different languages and regions. Packaging a video, creating a thumbnail or a title, it's all pretty much free of charge to do at the best level, as the guides are all available from the top creators as well. The caption systems and the voiceover that Nude leverages in their videos, those are all paid tools that you can access as well. It's not something that is completely and crazy bizarre in terms of the technology or the price point. Again, you can have it, and we have it as part of our company and our creative team. All that being said, in terms of the standards and the quality, your content is not far apart from those that you look up to. So it's about how you stand out is where the competition really starts. But if you haven't talked about or thought about the standards of delivery or your list of essentials, then you're pretty much losing from the get-go. No matter how much of a unique story or narrative you might have, the standards have never been higher. So it is time to build that foundation. Really hope you guys have enjoyed that video. I did want to say a big thank you for 5,000, and we're on our way to 10,000 already. Let's get 100K this year. Again, if you liked the video, leave a like, leave a comment, and I'll see you next week. Thanks.